Hi everybody, and welcome to Ateraverse, specifically this AI workshop. For those who I haven't met virtually yet, so if I haven't seen you at an AI webinar, my name's Meira. I'm from the CS team here at Atera, and I'm so happy to be seeing so many faces, or virtual faces, but so many names at the session today. Before we get started, I just want to thank you all. I know this is coming towards the end of day one, and I know you guys have had quite a packed day, so thanks for still being here and for attending. So many of you, which is wonderful. If you need to get a coffee, feel free to have it on the side. Aaron, great to see you as well. We have a really jam-packed interactive session today, and I really want you guys to be fully engaged as best as you can. And I know you've already had a lot going on. On that note, I would love for you guys to write in the chat something interesting you've learned or heard in the sessions before. I was sitting in some of them myself, and I personally learned a lot of things, so I'm sure you guys have interesting feedback. Feel free to add that into the chat if you don't mind. Love to see what you guys have to say. So we are very excited to present this hands-on workshop for all of you IT professionals, consultants, AI enthusiasts. The main goal of today's workshop is to show you how you can use our AI solution to customize your specific needs. So whether you're an MSP or an internal IT department, you're going to find this workshop jam-packed with all innovative ideas and solutions and use cases to help you and your team discover where AI can help you in your current workflow. I mean, as we all know, AI is a whole universe, but today we're going to be looking at your AI universe and what that means for you. It's also a great opportunity for us to show you how you can unlock efficiency and boost productivity with our AI solution, both within your team and within the overall organization. We all know, and I think we can all agree, that the IT pros and experts in any organization are really the true unsung superheroes. So let's show the whole entire organization what you can bring to the table. So before we get started, I just want to make sure that all of you get the best out of today's session and fully are able to maximize it for what it is. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's going to be an interactive session. So I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your thoughts, comments, and questions. But to make that be, or let's say to fully utilize that as best as we can, I want to just streamline a few things. So any comments, thoughts, gifs, memes, all of the good stuff goes into the chat. But any questions that you have, just put them in the Q&A. We have a whole team on hand answering any and all of your questions. I will personally also answer some questions at the end, but to be able to keep track of all the questions, I want you to put them in the Q&A. So just a reminder. Okay, so for those who, maybe you can also give us a show of hands. How many of you guys are Atera customers? For those that are Atera customers and have used the platform already, you will know how Atera can help you in your everyday workflow, right? You've seen all the ways that we can help you automate and streamline all of your processes. But today's workshop is more about the supercharged side of Atera, or what I like to call Atera's AI magic. Okay, so before we jump in, I see there's a few people. Great, we have a lot of happy customers. Wonderful to see. Before we jump in, I see there's a few people who wrote that they've just joined. No problem, that's great, that's wonderful. And I just want to have an alignment before we actually get started on the specific examples. So for anyone who wasn't here already or wasn't at any of the previous sessions, I just want to set up the AI offering and components that we have currently within Atera. So today we're going to be looking at the two different components, namely the Copilot and the Autopilot. So the Copilot is the technician-assisted element of the platform. It's the part of the platform that's able to diagnose, analyze, scan, and make knowledgeable recommendations to best assist technicians. Now, the Autopilot, on the other hand, is for your end users or for your customers. And it can autonomously take action without the need for a technician's intervention, making life easier, saving time, and frustration on both sides of the ticket or the request, right? So for you and for the end user. Today, I'm going to be focusing mostly on the unified Copilot. However, I will be sprinkling in some examples from the Autopilot as well. Okay, before we get started, I want to make sure everyone is good and we're ready to go. We have some great questions, some great comments. Wonderful, keep them coming. I think we're ready. Maybe you can just type in the chat if you're ready to get started on the fun stuff. Okay, so we're going to get started with the examples. And for efficiency and smoothness, I just want to mention that I've gone and recorded some examples for you. I want to maximize the time today. I want to show you as much as I possibly can, and this was the best way to do it. I've also handpicked these specific examples for today's specific track, because I think that I wanted to show you guys specific ways that you can easily incorporate AI into your daily workflow and supercharge your efficiency, right? So some simple everyday use cases that you can use that will really bolster and boost your productivity and efficiency and make a really big impact. Wonderful. I think you're all ready to go. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. Bear with me, guys. I have another screen set up specifically so I can show you examples. I just want to make sure it's working properly. Give me a minute. Wonderful. Great. So let's take a look at some examples. So the first example we're going to look at is our script generator. I think this did come up a little bit earlier in passing. I think a lot of you have probably used it, but I've got a few different elements I want to show you today of the script generator. So script generator falls under our Copilot technically. And I think we can all agree that sometimes scripts are the best way to, or the most preferable solutions for certain issues. Sometimes that just is the best way to do things. But from speaking to customers, we know that a lack of script knowledge can often be a barrier to using scripts. So I'm sure if any of you wanted to raise your hand in the chat, how many of you guys have, not used a script when you could have because of, you didn't feel fully confident, or you didn't have the script knowledge that you wanted or felt like you needed to be able to use it. So for those who aren't experts in scripting but would like to use scripting, this is really a great option to use. And in addition, using the script generator means you can also really customize the script to your specific need or use case. So there's that customizable action in there as well. In today's specific example, we're going to be looking at creating a local admin user. The example that I'm going to be showing you guys is a use case where a user has been locked out of their laptop and the IT department doesn't have an MDM solution in place that can unlock it. And the computer also, on top of that, isn't compliant with MDM profiles and such. So let's take a look at what we can do. So we're going to go into the script generator and we're going to type in exactly what we need. What you'll see here as well is not only do we get the script itself, but we also populate the script name and the description automatically for you. You'll see this was a success. Pretty simple example, but really effective, right? We didn't have a solution at first. Maybe there was a barrier to using this from the knowledge perspective. And now not only do we have a solution in place, we've customized it and we found a workaround. We didn't have MDM and now we found a way to make this work. So, I mean, you can already see here, small, something relatively easy to use, but makes a big impact, and was able to solve the issue, like no matter where you are. Maybe the end user isn't in the same location as you, and this is how we easily did that. Okay, next one. The next one we're going to be looking at as well is also relating to the Copilot, where we're looking at script proofing, and we're going to be using Slack installation as a specific example. Let's say you guys have a script that you want to use, but for some reason, it's not working as expected. Again, this could align back to not having the proper or the sufficient scripting knowledge. It seems to be right, but you can't figure out what's gone wrong, or maybe there's an error and you're not sure how to fix it. I want to have a show of hands in the chat. How many of you knew that you could script proof one of your scripts with our script generator? Oftentimes I've showed this and people didn't know. So feel free to put in the chat if you knew about this. If you're a regular AI webinar attendee, you'll know, but if not, let us know if you knew about this. Great. So we already have a few people who said they didn't know. So what I'm going to show you is going to be really exciting for you then. So in this specific case, we're going to be looking at a Slack installation example. We're going to be taking a script from a specific website and trying to download it. And we'll see what happens if there's an issue with the script and how we can fix it. Something I'll just mention here is you can use this for any script that was created outside of Terra. It's not native to a Terra. You can take any script that you've made somewhere else and rerun it here. So you'll see here, we're going to create the script. We're going to take the script and we're going to run it, or at least try to run it. And you'll see we get an error. So we're going to take the error, or at least part of the script that isn't working. And another thing you guys will see that a lot of you, I'm sure, didn't know, you can drag and drop that text box over there. Now we're going to put in the updated part of the script. Just to note, this will take a little bit of time because we're downloading quite heavy software over here. So it does take a couple more minutes. Steve says this is great. Steve, you haven't even seen the end, but we will get there. I'm happy to hear it's great. And you'll see just in a minute or two, it will actually bring up Slack. So that's one way you can use our script generator. So like I mentioned earlier, we saw a script example of just, running a regular script. And now we're seeing how you can proofread a script that was already an existing script. So now we have one feature that I've shown you, or let's say one feature from Atera, and we've done multiple things with it. So I think that's pretty cool. Not only as well should I mention that it, helps with the barrier to entry of maybe knowledge, but also time saving. Something else we've, let's say, heard quite often when we speak to customers is that, sometimes writing a script and checking it and doing all the manual modifications can take a long time. Sometimes customers tell me that it takes 30 minutes to an hour, and here in at least 30 seconds to a minute, we have a brand new script or an updated and corrected one. So a lot of benefits in that. Okay, next example. The Copilot for devices. So as I mentioned earlier, the Copilot is a unified experience. What does this mean? We have a single helper that follows you along the Atera platform throughout all the different pages and can be updated with all the relevant information for a specific issue without needing to consult the requester. So I'm going to now say to the Copilot, okay, we have our devices over here. What can I do better to make my devices more secure? I'm simply going to ask the question, what steps or actions can I take to make my device more secure? And the reason I'm thinking about this is that this keeps you as an IT consultant or an IT expert ahead of the curve. It keeps you proactive rather than reactive. And categorically, we know that in the IT space, especially in these big enterprise organizations, but even in small teams, you guys are often overworked, understaffed, and who can benefit from, an additional technician / some more brainstorming / another opinion. So this is one way to really utilize what we're offering with our Copilot and our AI functionality to benefit you guys and make a big impact. So you'll see here, I'm opening the Copilot from a specific device. We have different prompts that you can write in your own, but I specifically wanted to choose this one. And you'll see here, we have different options. We've got a response, but we're also generating action. So these, thanks to the Copilot, are some actions I can actually take on my own to make the device more secure. And then it's asking us, what would I like to do with these actions? Would I like to proceed? Now, the video is a tiny bit slower, only because it's also got a voice function within it. And I didn't play it for you guys. I wanted to be able to speak myself. But you can see here, I can take an action and it will automatically send that action or that request of an action to the end user's device. And you can let them know if the issue has been resolved. Okay, before we carry on, I just want to hear if we have any questions, any thoughts or concerns. Just a reminder, all the questions should go in the chat, and any other kind of comments, feedback can come in the chat with me, but the questions should be in the Q&A. Okay, cool. I'm going to carry on for the meantime. Sorry, I meant to clarify any questions regarding the examples that we've seen. So if you have any questions on that, feel free. Again, you can put them in the Q&A, but if there's anything that I need to answer, we'll do that too. Also, feel free to keep the chat going. In other sessions, you guys were very lively. A lot of comments in the chat. Feel free to put some emojis. I hope you guys are still having a good time. Okay, next up. So the next example we're going to look at is Can you guys still hear me? Seems like something went off. Should be good. Yes, we're back. Thanks, Norman. Happy to hear I'm back. Great. You can all hear me still? Should be good. Great. I see we have some more energy back in the chat. Wonderful. Fantastic. And you can still hear me. Perfect. Okay, so the next example we're going to look at is Copilot for alerts. So now I'm looking through the same lens of the same Copilot, but from a different perspective. Now I'm looking through the alerts lens, right? So let's say I have an alert that's been created and I want to dive deeper into the issue. I want to have a further deep dive and see what's going on. So the example specifically I'm going to be looking at is a CPU usage alert, and I want to get better visibility into the system. I want to be more efficient and see, what else can I find from this specific alert. Okay. So you'll see here, I'm going to choose the CPU load alert. And right now, just for you guys to know, when I ran this specific example, the Copilot was actually scanning the system and seeing what are the latest updates for this alert and seeing, anything that's changed. That's why it's actually doing the scanning again. You'll see here it's analyzed the alerts and it's also searching for relevant diagnostics. So not only am I now seeing additional information into the alert, I'm actually seeing the tests and diagnostics and the relevant information that has been run. And I'm actually going to get 5 top running processes. So actually pinpointing what's going on. It's not just saying, okay, you have high CPU usage, but actually what does this mean? And then some tangible actions that me as a technician or one of you guys, you could take within your organization for this specific device. So you'll see here, my CPU usage is currently at 100%, and these are the top 5 running processes that are occurring on this device. So now you'll see here, I actually get more information into what actually is causing the problem or taking up most of my resources. And I get step-by-step guides or step-by-step guideline on what I can do and how I can make this device perform better. Here I could, let's say, internally give the Copilot a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on what I felt of the answer. But again, you can see how valuable this is just in terms of what I can take from this. Okay, so here I wanted to rerun the alert. I don't think it's necessarily needs to show. It's going to give me the same result, but I just wanted to show you that you can, say, what does this alert do? Let's rerun it. Let's see it again. Okay. We're going to do another example. Robert says, can you make the screen presentation a little bit bigger? Yes, I think it should be on maximum size. Robert, I'm going to try. Let's just see if there's any other questions that are relating to any logistical stuff. Okay, I'm going to carry on. Let me know if you guys need anything in terms of the presentation besides for the screen. And again, like I said, anything else should just go in the Q&A so we can monitor all your questions. Okay, so my next example is going to be an autopilot example. So this is a question that I have for you guys. I need you all to give me a show of hands and let me know where this example lies. But how many times or how many of you have gotten an urgent text message or a call from either a VP or someone very senior in the company set like 5 minutes before they have a really big meeting saying, I need to get on this meeting and something's not working, whatever software they need to be on the meeting isn't available, and they're frustrated and they need to get an answer straight away, and they call you or they text you and they expect you as the IT knight in shining armor to drop everything and be available. Paul says lol all the time. I can imagine. Joe says never. Joe, you're very lucky. Ryan's got a hand up, and so has Ricardo and James. Okay, so this is something that you guys all have every day. Just thinking about this makes me stressed. So I can't even imagine if you guys are having this every day. Daniel wrote every hour. So I'm hopefully going to take this off your hands a little bit. Jermaine says that happened a week ago. I'm sure some of you had it happen today. But I want to show you guys a specific example with the autopilot where it's going to be able to detect that something is missing and then not only provide a solution, but also provide an option to download that software. So hopefully in the future, you guys won't have to have this and we can take this off your plate. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try and make it as big as possible. I hope it works. You guys will let me know. From my side, it should be, it's a max screen, but you'll let me know. So basically, someone important has a Q2 planning meeting, right? They open up their calendar, they're ready to get on the call. And now we get to that dreaded moment. Okay, WebEx is missing, except with the Atera autopilot, we're able to detect that it's missing. And you can see here that the autopilot already knows that you're trying to connect to a session via WebEx, but you don't have it installed. Now, this could be applicable for anything, but I think you guys kind of get the idea how important it is when it's a meeting kind of software that you need to have. Something else you'll see already is that a ticket's automatically created. So you'll always be able to keep track of tickets that were created and resolved from the autopilot, which is something important we can get to in a minute. But there we go. Simple as that. The autopilot was able to not only detect that something was missing, but also, help your end user download it. Something I want to mention on this front is that all the software that your end user will be able to, or your customer will be able to download through the autopilot is pre-approved by you guys. So we're not offering, free reign on any kind of software that the end user or the customer wants to download. It would be pre-approved by you guys on the technician side of Atera on what you're able to allow or not allow. As I said, he was about to ask that. So I hope that was a good answer to your question. So I hope that was interesting for you guys. And, thinking of getting a call and being like, I have 5 minutes to get on a meeting. I need you to help me stop, drop, and roll. That makes me get a little bit flustered. So I can only imagine for you guys. So I'm sure you can already see some value here, right? That it takes a lot of the stress off your shoulders. Secondly, it's going to remove this as a recurrence or a frequent occurrence that's happening a lot. And I think for me, most importantly, it's encouraging your end user or your customer to be empowered and self-sufficient and try and, be able to solve their IT issues where applicable on their own without having to turn to you for those maybe small and, let's say, low quality tasks that they really can do if needed. And again, it just helps them become more self-empowered and efficient and takes a lot of that bulk weight off of your hands. So all of you who said, I get this every week, I get this every day, I get this every hour, hopefully at least we reduce some pain and free up some of your time in this kind of an example. Okay, let's just see. Great, I'm going to continue with our next example. Okay, so now we're continuing with the Copilot, and here we're going to look specifically at some ticket summaries. So what does this particularly mean? Let's say you have a ticket already, with an end user, maybe you're a tier 2 technician or a team leader, and you're picking up a ticket that wasn't fully resolved from a tier 1 tech and your end user. And maybe they've gone back and forth on the ticket and there's a lot of information, and you want to just come in and say, you know what, I just want a summary. I want to see where this ticket's at. What's the most important information? Were there any tests run? What were the diagnostics? What were the results of those tests? The Copilot ticket summaries aspect is able to give you that. So I'm going to take an example over here. So let's just maximize the screen for all of you. This should be better. So I'm going to take specific example of a password reset request. I'll explain to you why. So here, firstly, we're just getting a summary. So if, let's say this was going on between a tier 1 tech maybe and, I don't know, an end user, just as an example, now you come in and you're able to see what's actually been, what's gone on between the two of them, what's the most pressing and relevant information. We've generated a response and we're also generating actions. I'm going to just replay that example again because I want to show you the end, we get the summary, and also in this use case, which is why I chose it, we also get the action item. So you as a technician then are not only able to get the summary, but you're also able to automatically have that action item that you can suggest to your end user. So here you literally have that option for reset Azure AD password. Simple as that. Now, again, you can imagine this could be done with tickets, like I said, where, oh, hold on, oops. Tickets where the end user and one of your other technicians or someone else in your team have gone back and forth. And there's a lot of information, and you just kind of want to cut to the chase and get the most pressing and updated information, as well as, let's say, tests, diagnostics, and find out exactly where everything stands. So of course, it's time saving, it's efficient, and it really helps you boost your productivity because you're able to cut to the chase. Okay, now we're going to show an example that I personally really, really love. I think it's going to be super helpful for you guys. And again, it's kind of going back to this idea of making your end users more self-sufficient and able to solve their problems on their own. We're going to be showing, well, I'm going to be showing how you can turn a resolved ticket into a knowledge base article that's relevant and customized for your team or your end users or your workflow. Okay, so here we're going to show a ticket. 1 second. There we go. This is specifically monitoring employee usage on SharePoint. It can be for any example. The important thing here is that the ticket status is resolved. You're able then to generate a KB article. You'll see it's going to load in a couple of seconds. And you'll see here it auto-populates with the information broken down into a bullet form for you. It's easy for your end user, and all you need to come and do is fill in small little bits of information like a title or keywords, etc. Now, I'm sure you can all see the value in this, but I just want to also stress that when I speak to customers, oftentimes they tell me, we don't even have the time to come to webinars or come to sessions like we have today. So, creating a KB article is sitting there and writing out all the steps and running all those different agendas. It's really difficult. We don't even have the time to get to all of our tickets sometimes that we need. So hopefully this really does help you guys. Like I said, make your end users more efficient, but also customize the process to your needs. You can think of a whole bunch of different examples. I'm sure 1 second, if I look in the chat, if you guys have any specific examples that you can think of off the top of your head that you would use this for, I'm sure many of you can think of good examples. There's definitely processes that you guys do within your own organizations, or the way that you run your IT teams or IT processes, all those kinds of things. There's things that are personal to you in your business that you want to be able to, let's say, turn into a KB article. And once you've had a ticket resolved that you like the way you did that, why not use it why not let your end users use it? And again, you don't have to take that manual time doing it. Let's see. I just want to check in the chat if there was anything. Alexander asked if I can replay it. I'd be happy to replay it. It should be full screen again. I hope it's not cutting everything out. But again, let's say this is a ticket that we have and it needs to be resolved, right? That's how we were able to process the article. And again, you'll see here, it takes time because we're extracting the information, but the best part is it's put into such a clean and easy format for you to use that all you really need to do is just put a title and some keywords and, change anything if you want to. But I think it's done really, really well. And something else, again, like I'll mention, is leveraging your KBs to make your end users more efficient. And something hopefully later on we'll be able to touch on as well is why your KBs are important within Atera's AI as well. Alexander, I hope that was helpful. I hope anyone else who wanted to see that example found that helpful. I'm going to move on to another example in a minute. I just want to check where everyone is standing. like I said, any issues we can, let's see. I'm just double checking if we have anything in here. Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Okay, I'm just having a look at some questions. So Philip had a question of, is there an agent installed and running on the endpoint or workstation? So yes, that's exactly what the AI is leveraging. Obviously, in those examples, that was relating to the device I was using then. Let's see if there's any other questions. Tim says, can the end user make a request? Yes, within the autopilot, the end user can make a request. Okay. Ariel says, is the Copilot Autopilot Mac OS compatible? Wait, I just lost your question. Yes, it is. We have, let's say, the actual help desk agent available only on Windows, but the Copilot and the Autopilot is compatible in certain degrees with Mac. I'm happy to take that offline with you as well, or answer any more questions on that front. Let's see if there's any other questions we can answer here. Okay, I think I'm going to leave the questions for a minute just so I can come back to the presentation just for one more example. This is now showing you how to use the Copilot for your technicians, right? So we're going to be showing more support for your technicians. Hold on. So for instance, we know when we've done the research that around 30% of employees spend around 30% of their day looking for information, for answers to questions. And, it can come from a few things. Maybe there's a lack of documentation, or not knowing who to ask or where to go, or if a colleague isn't available to assist you. This can happen as well, of course, with let's say your end users, but internally as well. I'm sure there's some technicians or people on your team who may be too shy to ask you guys, right? So with the Copilot, we're able to assist you and your technicians with setting up a Terra. I'm going to show you this example. I think we may only have time for this example today, and then I'll continue with questions. But you should be able to see this. So here we're asking the Copilot, how can I change ticket priority based on rank, on customer rank? And this is within a Terra, right? So we're not only giving you support for your devices, we're giving you support for our own platform as well. So here you'll see, we again give you the step-by-step instructions, leveraging our own KBs, as well as then we also give you a link to the actual KB of where it comes from, which is, let's say, much longer, more detailed, has visual representation of what you need to do. But if you need a quick answer, we're able to give that to you as well. So that's another way that you can, time save, boost your efficiency, and be productive. Okay, I think, let's see. I think we're going to need to answer some more questions. Firstly, just want to check, how is everybody doing here? Everyone's good? Thumbs up. Feel free to add any, great, let's see. Okay, so Dustin is great. Josh is lost. I hope not with this. I will just make a mention. I've seen that we have had a few questions regarding the recordings. It will be made available to you guys afterwards. So don't worry if you've missed anything or you've missed an example, you got lost somewhere, we'll have you covered. If you have any issues, you can also reach out to me, and you can also reach out to success@atera.com, and they'll be able to direct you where needed. I'm going to see if there's any questions I can answer in the next few minutes. Great. We have a lot of people happy in the chat. I'm happy to see this. Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, I'm looking for unanswered questions. Just give me a minute, guys. We have quite a bit. Let's see. Okay, so we have a question from Rafael that says, if they don't have install privileges, can you send it over with necessary install rights? So yes, certain of the software, again, like I mentioned, needs to be pre-approved by you guys, but if it is, it should be able to download. I think that should answer your question. Let's see what else. Let me just mark this as answered. Okay. Are the AI answers in the service desk module which come from users generative, or do you pre-program it with keywords to existing help desk articles? So John, I'm not sure about this question. If you mean, are the AI answers in the service desk like the ones that we're providing in terms of the Copilot, or the ones that we're providing in the autopilot? But we have different ways that we train the AI based on, tickets and data and information that we have. But of course, there's also ways to use your own KBs, which is something I wanted to touch on, but we may not have time for that today. So I will try and get that to you guys in a different form. Josh says, we lost Josh's question. George says, when is the Copilot for endpoints and alarms available? Well, the Copilot for all different devices is already available. If you mean endpoints as in mobile phones, that's, I think, probably in the works. I'd need to get an ETA on that for you and speak to our teams. So I don't have that answer for you. I think all of these questions we've answered. Let's see. I think that's all the questions that we have here. If there's any questions we don't get to today, guys, if any of you have put questions in the Q&A and for some reason they're showing up as answered and I've missed them, don't worry. We will get around to them. I'll be given a list of all the questions from today's session, and I'll be able to answer any that were outstanding. I will get back to you on that. Our session is going to end in a couple of seconds. So I just wanted to thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I know you're all super, super busy, and you managed to stay all the way up until now. So thank you for being here and for bringing the energy. It was really a pleasure, hosting all of you in this session, and I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to add any comments on your way out. And like I said, if I didn't get to your questions, don't worry, I will get to them afterwards. And I hope you guys continue to stay for the rest of the Terraverse today and come back tomorrow. It was a pleasure being with you all.